And we're recording.
Hey, Rick.
Hey, Sharon.
So I have a question for you. Some more money questions. I mean, I know some people, they can save lots of money, and some still put it under their mattress and stuff like that. But I know you're thinking all that interest. No, we're not going there. I was just joking, really, seriously. But anyway, money is hard to, with all the inflation and all the costs going up and all that stuff. It's getting more challenging for people to stretch it a lot further. So when it comes to talking, the topic of saving more money now is probably a little more challenging than it has been for a while. So I know you and your money savviness. I was hoping you had some good tips for us in terms of ways to save for that. Ultimately, of course, saving for a down payment would be, a dream come true for many. And what are some ways we can make it a little bit easier and help them start the journey?
Okay, well, the first thing I'm going to say, just in general for saving money, is obviously, you know how much you're spending every month on your car payments. And
I thought you were going to say the number one thing was don't keep it under your mattress.
Well, obviously that's a bad idea for many reasons as well. But it's better than spending it on things that you don't need, right? A lot of people are like, oh, I can't get ahead. And it's like, well, they're going to Starbucks twice a day, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's only $5 here, $5 there. But that $5 really adds up. And then, while you're at Starbucks getting your coffee, are you also getting like a snack on the side? Well, now you're looking at like $10 and things like that. So those can really add up, especially if you look at it over the course of a year, right? Like it's a small amount every day, but you sit down and you add it up at the end of the month and then multiply that by 12. So that's the first thing. Obviously, if you don't need to spend the money, don't spend it. If you want to save, that's the best way to do it. However, I do have a trick for a down payment. So the government of Canada has a home buyer's plan where you use your RSP to save up for your down payment.
Right.
So now the caveat is, of course, you have to have RSP contribution room. Yes. So if you're unfortunate enough to have a full pension, you might not have a lot of contribution room. But yes, for most people that aren't actually blessed with, a full pension, and of course, even if you do have a full pension, if you worked before you got that pension, you may have accumulated sufficient to use this. So you have to check your notice of assessment just to make sure you've got contribution space available in your RSP. But having said that, if you have the contribution room available, you can take out money from your RSP up to $35,000 per person that is buying the home, as long as you're a first-time home buyer. Now, that's a bit of a misnomer because first-time home buyer means that you haven't owned a home in the last 4 years and you haven't lived in a home owned by your current spouse in the last 4 years. So as long as you qualify for the program and you have the RSP contribution room, then this is a great way to jumpstart your down payment savings, because when you make your RSP contribution, when you file your taxes at the end of the year, you're going to get a tax refund. So by contributing $1 to your RSP, depending on what your marginal tax rate is, so the higher your earnings, the more that you're taxed at. We have a marginal tax system in Canada. So if you're in one of the higher brackets, you could be paying like 50 cents on the dollar in tax. So you make $1 RSP contribution, you're getting a 50-cent tax refund because it's already been withheld at source. So if you have money just sitting in the bank or in a TFSA, and you're planning on buying a home, you can move that money into your RSP and get that big tax refund. But then, of course, you could also use to make another RSP contribution. But as I said, you don't necessarily want to go over the $35,000 if it's for the purposes of a down payment, but you could also put it into your TFSA or whatever to save it. So if you already have the cash, that's great. That's a way that you could potentially, increase your down payment by 50% right away. But if you don't have the cash sitting around or available, you can jumpstart it because you can do an RSP loan. You can borrow the money to make an RSP contribution. And then, of course, when you file your taxes, you will get that tax refund. So then, of course, you can take that tax refund and pay down a significant amount of the loan. And then, of course, it's a loan payment, so you have to repay that. So you have to budget it, factor it into your budget when you're doing it.
It's a forced saving.
It's for savings, yes. So, maybe, that you're thinking of going to Starbucks, but you're like, ooh, I got that loan payment at the end of the month, so maybe not, right?
Yeah.
So this is a great way to jumpstart your down payment savings. Now, it is repayable to your RSP about 2 years after you've bought the home. It's payable in 15 equal installments, but you're just paying the loan. It's basically a loan to yourself from your RSP, and you pay that back. If you don't make that payment in that year that it's due, it just gets added to your income for that year. So, maybe you're taking a year for mat leave or something like that, so your income's lower. You could just forego making the repayment in that year and just pay the taxes on the 1/15 of the amount that you owed. So if you got a couple buying a house, that's up to $70,000 you can take out of your RSPs. Now, of course, if you have an RSP already, you could, access that money. Like if you've already put it in the RSP, you can access that money as well, potentially. There are some restrictions, but you can access that money to, get your bigger down payment. Which, of course, if you can get 20% down, if you're already you've already got the minimum down payment, if you can increase it to 20%, then of course you can afford more. You can qualify for more mortgage because you can use longer amortizations, or even potentially use alternative lenders that have slightly higher, gross debt service and total debt service ratios allowed. So I'm not going to get into this here. That's a whole different video. But basically, you can qualify for more if you can get 20% down. But, if you're just trying to get into the market and stop paying rent, if you can get that, 5% down, or, 5% in a bit, if it's over the 500,000, this is a great way to get you there that much faster and stop paying someone else's mortgage.
Well, it's a great way to save, and and you're looking out for your retirement, and you get to borrow it tax-free, put down on your house. And then you get to pay a loan to discipline yourself with what you're spending, and you're also building credit with that loan as well. So there's the bonus of that. And also, now, is there anything else you can do with the RSP? Is that everything?
Well, there's another program where if you choose to go back to school, you can use it. It's a very similar program, but it's for paying your tuition. But you can take money out of your RSP at any time, but normally it's taxable, right? So the idea behind the RSP is you put the money in there, and then when you retire, so you're no longer earning as high an income, then you start to draw on the RSP at that point. So you're postponing the taxes for sometimes 20, 30 years, which is great because it grows inside the RSP tax-free. Now it's taxable when it comes out, but hopefully at a lower tax rate. So those are but as I said, like, the government allows you to take the money out for the purchase of a home if you're considered a first-time home buyer, which, as I said, is a bit of a misnomer because you're allowed to have previously owned a home. You just can't have owned it in the last 4 years, or have lived in the home of your current spouse in the last 4 years.
Yeah. So very good. Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon. Excellent question.
Now we'll help everybody get on to saving more money.
Let's hope.
Okay, thanks, dear. I'm going to go now and go get a coffee in the kitchen, of course.
Not from Starbucks or Tim Hortons. Actually, I've got nothing against Starbucks or Tim Hortons. They're just easy examples. Any coffee shop when you can make it at home.
Just strategy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, Rick. Have a good one. Take care.
Thanks. You too, Sharon.